Hey there, Rebus here. I've tried a few things differently recently. Some people asked for longer reviews, so I made a few. Others asked for more first impressions, so I gave that a shot. A few people asked for more cogent, less obscure content. As such, I tried to reduce the quantity of Dune pics and references to things nobody has seen. And despite this, didn't really pay off. So welcome to a good old-fashioned 1-minute-ish review, laced with references even I barely understand, and more pictures of Ginger Sting in his pants than YouTube's content bots will be able to handle. Without further ado, welcome to the first 1-minute-ish review for a while, and maybe the last for a while too if this one doesn't do better than the last few. That said, if or when this one gets up to 150 or so views, I will begin another. So if you like it, share it. Anyway, let's get on with this. Review starts now. Battlefleet Gothic was 2016's game of choice for folks who, like me, wish that more of medieval history had been spent building cathedrals next to each other, loading those cathedrals up with cannons of various caliber, and then set about the process of demolishing one another with a righteous and furious cannonade. I think I basically just described the experience of playing Rampart 2-player. But anyway, I digress. If you like your combat real-time, 2D, and full of gorgeous, if crenellations and gargoyles juxtaposed with particle beams, nova cannons, and batteries of macro cannons make you weak at the knees, if you liked Battlefleet Gothic 1 but wish it was bigger in every possible way, then Battlefleet Gothic 2 Armada is the time sink you need. A quick caveat for anyone expecting a realistic space game: you just got off the bus in the wrong neighborhood, chum. We've got space demons and ships that grow tentacles around these parts. Realism belongs in another franchise. On that note, space here is 2D. This isn't some sort of obscure advocacy for flat earth nonsense, just a throwback from the board game. As a consequence, expect a game that feels more like naval combat with broadsides, battleships and carriers, more akin to a naval World War II combat emulator, only from a world where naval rams never fell out of use, than a Newtonian space simulation experience, or be prepared for a very sad time. The gameplay loop from Battlefleet Gothic 1, which could become a bit repetitive, remains the same. This consists of management on a turn-based strategic map, where you will organize your ships and systems, and the real-time battle component. If Battlefleet Gothic was like eating a king-size Snickers, largely tasty but perhaps a bit too sickly towards the end, Battlefleet 2 Gothic can feel like having to eat a massive trade box of the bastards. The repetitive parts of Battlefleet Gothic are back, and as with everything else, they are also bigger. Having to navigate and react to various invasions from inconvenient AI invaders, and then moving Spyro around as missions that oddly require his presence to make sense of the dialogue in scripted missions. For bejesus' sake, Spire, learn to delegate. The bigger map starts to feel like a bit of a nuisance rather than a bonus. You can't even set a destination for a ship outside of its current move range. If I need ships to travel across the universe, I want to set one large move, and then have the AI move my ships to the destination each turn. I do not want to have to search out each of my fleets and move it individually each turn. Not with a map this big, not with this many fleets. The bigger selection of fleets, ships for those fleets, races in-game, and even races that get their own campaign are all great, but every simple issue that makes the larger scale of this game less convenient to play. There is a very simple solution found in other games for at least a decade. Hopefully at some point the devs will try some of those games and continue releasing patches. With a much larger play area, we now have campaigns that last about as long in the real world as some of the longer conflicts in the 40k universe took in lore. The cutscenes continue to create in me a very real sense of loss that Games Workshop don't have anyone making movies for their licenses. Sadly though, once you have fought your first couple of hundred battles through the campaign, those cutscenes have become my biggest motivator to proceed. Sure, it is all still epic and big and wow, but there is just so much of it. I'm still playing my first campaign, but the faff of attempting to organize multiple fleets across multiple systems, all the while trying to work out how to get Spire from one side of the universe to the other, has lost some of its charm. The expansion to the larger scale has not been without its drawbacks. The strategic map needs an organic zoom from system to galactic view. You need to be able to set destinations to your fleets outside of their current movement range. There needs to be a greater degree of zoom in both the galactic and sector mode, so that it's possible to see the whole system in one view. Basically, if Battlefleet Gothic wishes to go to the party with the other 4X games, then it needs to start acting a bit more like them. I haven't tried multiplayer. I mean, I fully intend to, but this review is like 2 months late and I'm still chipping away at the campaign 3 to 4 turns per play session. I've decided, if I get round to it, to farm the multiplayer off into a different video. So for now, know only this: there is multiplayer. You can also play the campaign in co-op, which sounds awesome, but I've not tried that. I have, however, played countless single-play missions. So let's get back to that. The battles have improved in terms of controls and the use of abilities. The already excellent combat has been made easier to control. They recently patched the combat to add extra features and I think more granular methods of speeding up and slowing down time, which is an encouraging sign of their intent to keep this game going. All in all, the combat, as with the last game, is a joy to behold, if not a bit samey when forced to do literally hundreds of battles to make progress in the campaign. A turn-based option would still be like a nice dream addition, but with Ramilla's star forts, Tyranid organisms that look big enough to chomp on the moon like a person might bob for apples, and various epic units featured in key battles, I am frequently and sufficiently distracted from my old man's desire to see a new and modern game, stick to the ethos of an almost 20-year-old board game, and sabotage its sales by inexplicably being turn-based. As with the last game, the main event is the story contained within the campaign, at least for me. Though largely mechanically sound, the actual game part of the game has for me become a little bit of an effort. It's a bit like if Wile E. Coyote painted a backdrop of the universe on a cliff face, but unlike Roadrunner, when you try to run into it, you just go smack into the cliff. That probably sounds a bit negative, but honestly it isn't. It is just fair warning. The flashy lasers and real-time tactical combat are all fantastic. The range of everything from ships to weapons to the gorgeous environments are all there, but so is a hint of the imperial bureaucracy and the crushing scale of the universe. So far, Games Workshop have yet to depict the equivalent of a middle management level bureaucratic paperwork based game, and Battlefleet Gothic 2 certainly isn't the place to start. Though in all honesty, if someone made a 40k spreadsheet based game in the Administratum, I would probably give that a go. You'd be worrying about filing all of these imperial tithe reports from 3,000 years ago, organise shipments of stationery to Cadia despite the fact it's just been torn in half, complain that your secretarius servitor can't even make a good cup of coffee, and every now and then the guy 3 desks over from you would turn into a chaos spawn. For now though, keep the Battlefleet Gothic fixes coming, and remember that despite my whining, Battlefleet Gothic 2 is pretty good. The campaign is a bit wearing, but if you can handle that, buy it now. Seriously. It looks gorgeous and the story is great. Otherwise, buy it on sale just for the lore and chip away at it like I am.